Morning. This is September the 13th, Wednesday, 2023, and we are in BBIS first semester class, and this is Divakar Upadhyay Aryal, your English teacher for this semester and most probably the next semester as well, 2 semesters. So as this is the first day, I have 3 sets of question papers. My initial planning was if I could get more sets. I wanted to divide you into groups and then let you read and make you present. But then I thought if I make you present on day 1, you may be quite anxious and worried. So I thought today I'll speak to make you comfortable. But in coming days, in my class, most of the times there'll be presentations. You will do the presentations. I'll assign you a chapter or topic. And if you say, Divakar sir, you haven't taught me, how do I know? Then I will say, watch my videos, get ready at home, and come and present, for example, right? Or I will ask you, stay after the class, come to my room, I'll help you, I'll prepare you, and will present. This course, I will try that. I do not teach you this course. I will try that. You go through the content, you prepare presentations, and you come and present. I'll sit, I'll watch, or I'll be with you. So many times we too will be presenting. You are presenting, and if I feel like I need to comment on something, I'll comment, I'll aid, and I'll also be with you. So today, my habit is last time, there was a whiteboard this side, so by habit, we happened to write over this. And I need to learn some technical procedures to operate through this thing. And I see a danger in using this technology, so I'm trying to not use it, because what I found that you can record everything. That's a good idea. But I found that they said that you record the whole class, and at the end of the class, you can mail the file. Then I realized, if my students know that the whole class is being recorded, and by the end of the class, the whole content will come in their email, then I feel like you won't be paying attention because you will get things ready-made. I thought so. I may be wrong, I may be right. Then I thought if we give you the content, if we give you the material, it will make you passive. That was my thinking, because learning education is not transfer of information. Okay? Learning is not transfer of information. You do not learn simply because you know something. Today it is the age of internet. You just type any such term on Google or Bing or ChatGPT or something else. You will find every information there. So why do you need to pay almost 700,000-800,000 rupees and come to LSEM and attend the class? So teaching is not knowing about things. Learning is not knowing about things. You don't come to college or university to know about things. Now the question comes, if teaching and learning is not about knowing things, what is it then? The simple answer will be, teaching and learning is acquiring skills. Teaching and learning is acquiring skills. Please understand, when you get this degree of BBA after 4 years, 8 semesters, and you go to the market, nobody will first look into your mark sheet. Nobody will ask you your grades, nothing, no. They will always try to know what things you can perform. What do you know? What are your practical skills? If you have good practical skills, you will get better jobs. But if you have high grades and no practical skills, you probably won't be able to get a better job, right? So teaching, learning, education is more about skills and less about knowledge. It is less about knowledge. For example, you may ask, Divakar sir, if that is the case, what should we do in English class then? Because in grade 11, grade 12, maybe you had English textbooks, you had poems, essays, and there was a content, you memorized the content, you made notes, and you reproduced the content in the examination, you passed. So for example, in English, you should know how to make note, for example. That's a skill. As I'm teaching you, what I expect you is that you do not sit arms akimbo in my class, for example. When you sit arms akimbo in a class, you are being defensive, the body language. If you are in an interview, seeking a job, and if you sit like this, you won't get the job. Because sitting like this is saying, I won't accept what you're saying. I won't listen to you. I won't buy your argument. When you sit like this, you're being defensive. What I want you to do is that, as I teach you, open your copy, keep it ready, keep the pen ready, and if you feel I'm saying something important, note it down. For example, if I was in your place right now, in my copy, I'll write this word, because this is something important my teacher is telling me. He is saying that I should know note making. So I will note down. At the end of the class, when the teacher leaves your classroom, your note copy should have a neat outline of the class. If your copy is empty by the end of the class, you have wasted your time. Because when teachers teach, they do not always say important things, but very often they say important things. And you should be able to filter what I should let go from his lecture and what I should filter and record. And you should know what points you should note down. That's one skill that is called note taking out of lecture. And students coming to college should have this skill, because you have already studied English for more than 12 years, right? Then next is, you should have the skill to summarize. Summary making is a skill that is equally important in all subjects. What is summary? You listen to someone and you retain that information for later use. And when later someone says, what did he say? You can tell them clearly what did they say. Because the first thing in learning is remembering. I still remember watching Amir Khan's movie Ghazni. If you have seen, I don't know. In Ghazni, Amir Khan plays a role of a person who has a short-term memory. So Amir Khan forgets everything within minutes. So what does he do? Amir Khan has a diary, piece of paper, and he notes down everything. Just imagine that we all forget everything. Can we learn anything? No. To learn anything, the first requirement is that we are able to remember what we see, we are able to remember what we hear, we are able to remember what we smell, we are able to remember what we taste, we are able to remember what we touch. Because these are the 5 senses we use to acquire information, right? We acquire information about our surrounding by looking, eyes, by listening, ears, by smelling, nose, by tasting, tongue, by touching, skin. These are the 5 mediums to acquire information. And whatever information we acquire, we are supposed to remember. So the first thing, the first ability you should have, we all have this, is memory. What is that? It's always good if you have stronger memory. But if you have a weaker memory and you forget what you did today, by tomorrow, you will have lots of difficulties in life, right? So remembering or memorizing. Then the next thing is, when you remember something, memory, the next thing is understanding. You should be able to understand what is happening around. Right now, I have a clear understanding of things around me. I know I'm in a class. I know how I should control my class. I know how I should maneuver my class. I know how I should teach. I have a clear understanding of this subject matter. I have a command of my subject matter. I understand how I should behave as a teacher. I understand how you should behave as a student. Understanding. Being able to understand what's happening around you. Being able to understand what people say to you. Being able to understand what people mean. Many times people say one thing and they mean something else. Right? If somebody winks at you, this is what they're doing. And what they mean? Probably they are interested in you, one meaning. Once somebody gave me a missed call. Somebody gave me a missed call. I was at home. Next morning I came to class. I didn't know who gave me the missed call because I didn't know the number. So I said, did anyone in this class give me a missed call yesterday around 4 o'clock? One student said, yes, sir, I gave you the missed call. The class was surprised. Why would a student give their teacher a missed call? Then I said, why did you give a missed call? And the student said, I was missing you, sir. Literally, at the surface level, I was missing you is simple. But if you go deeper, it may have multiple implications, troublesome meanings, right? You should not miss your teacher that way, right? That's not a good symptom, right? So what I was saying, now then I understood the intention. I not only understood the meaning, I also understood the intention. So you should be able to understand, right? Then once you understand, you should be able to retell what you understand. You should be able to retell other people. For example, when you go home this afternoon, if your parents ask you, what did your English teacher do in the class? You should be able to briefly tell what happened in class, right? You should be able to talk about the camera and what I told about the camera, myself, what I wrote, right? You should be able to retell. Then, okay. After summarizing, you should be, no, you will see that this is easiest, easier, easy, analyzing, difficult, synthesizing, more difficult, evaluating, even more difficult, applying, creating. Much more difficult, creating. Most difficult. So what do you say? It's not only about English. It's about every subject you study in school and college. Economics, account, mathematics. So here you have old knowledge or given knowledge. You begin with the given knowledge that you read in the books, that you see around you. Then you encounter the old knowledge or given knowledge, and you remember first what you saw, what you learned, what you read in the books. You remember the movie you watched. You remember the documentary you watched. You remember the lesson you learned in class. You remember the chapter you read in the book. Then you understand what you read. You understand and you tell someone. When I was learning English language, what I would do, I had a big mirror in my room. And I would sit in front of the mirror. And I will see myself in the mirror. And I will talk to the guy in the mirror. Why? To make sure I understand English language and learn properly. You understand. Then you summarize. You tell yourself in your mind, oh, this is what I've learned. You brief it. You outline. Summarizing is outlining. Summarizing is retelling. Then you analyze. Now this is difficult. What is analyzing? See, let's analyze this classroom. And let's ask a question to understand this point. How good is this classroom? We have a question. We want to evaluate. We want to judge how good this classroom is. To answer this question, how good this classroom is, we must analyze the classroom. Now, how do you do that? So look what I do. Okay, let me first look at the door. Okay, it has a good aluminum frame, clean door with the transparency seat, and the door looks good. Fine. What I'm doing? While I'm analyzing, I'm looking at the parts. So analysis is focusing on the parts. What does analysis mean? Focusing on the parts, not on the whole. Not on the whole. Whenever you analyze anything, you break the whole into parts. Are you getting my point? For example, you are doing BBIS medicine and you have a dead body on the table. Your professor is going to teach you anatomy today. He has given you scissors, scalpel, and he says, start analyzing. So you tear the skin first. And you put the skin apart. And say, oh, there is a heart. Oh, there is a liver. Oh, there are pancreas. Oh, there is a bigger intestine, smaller intestine. What are you doing? You are focusing on each part. So analysis means focusing on the part, not on the whole. First, analysis is focusing on the parts. Second, analysis is focusing on the interrelationship of the parts. Focusing on the interrelationship of the parts. How two parts go, do the two parts fit together? For example, here is a door and there are the windows, two parts. Now, interrelationship means I can ask, is the distance and the distribution of the door and windows in this room, is it appropriate? Then I say, yes, it is appropriate. For example, if this classroom is 30 feet length, it's a rectangular classroom. So the classroom is 30 feet length. We have the door at one end. Imagine this door was over there. Then it would be awkward to get in the class because it will disturb the people sitting. So I say the door is at the right place. Look, I'm analyzing and I'm also judging. I'm also judging. How am I judging? I'm judging by asking where this door is located in relation to the whole wall. Then I say, yes, the windows are good because they are at a higher elevation than your heads. Imagine this window was here. Then people would be looking at you when they walk outside the corridor, and you would be looking outside at people when I teach you. So I say, yes, the windows are at a right elevation. It's a wonderful, good architecture of the classroom. What I'm doing? I am separating parts, then I am seeing one object in relation to another object, and I'm asking, do the two things fit together? Yes, they fit together. Are they in proper place? Yes, they're in proper place. Then I say, I come back this side and I see there are large, spacious windows on the left side also. And then I look around, I see, oh, this is a good classroom because there is enough light. It's a hygienic classroom. There are 2 fans, almost 4 tube lights. There is a clock on the wall. There is a projector. To my surprise, there is a smart board. What I'm doing? I am focusing on each component. And I am evaluating where the thing is located. And I'm also judging how useful that thing is. Windows, spacious, useful. You have cross flow of air. You have cross flow of air. Imagine we had no door window this side, we won't have cross flow. So what I did, I gave you an example of how we do analysis. And I said, when we do analysis, we break things into parts. And we try to see the relation among the parts. And we try to see how well they fit or how badly they fit. Sometimes you say, oh, kasto chitikka pareko. Have you heard people saying? So when you say, she is chitikka, what do you mean? When you say, he is chitikka, what do you mean? You mean the dresses they are wearing, they fit together, right? Okay. So analyzing is separating parts. Analyzing is separating parts. What is synthesizing? Synthesizing is putting together. Synthesizing is putting together. For example, suppose you are going to make a dish at home. You have guests and you are going to make a popular dish, any dish. Then first you have ingredients on the dining table or kitchen table, right? You have ingredients. You measure each ingredient. Is it enough or not? You make sure that you have all the ingredients, analysis. Then finally, you heat the pan, saucepan let's say, and you start pouring each ingredient one by one in proper amount, at proper time, and you mix them properly, you stir properly, you heat for a time properly, you know because you're a good cook, you know how to cook, and you make a delicious dish. You're putting together. So synthesis is listening to others and making your own point. I repeat, in analysis, you listen to people's opinion. In synthesis, you listen to everyone and you see the interconnections of what they said to you, and then you come with your view. So synthesis is creating your view. Analysis is evaluating what others say. I repeat, analysis is listening to what others say. Synthesis is coming up with your view. Have you seen? Imagine that this afternoon or yesterday your friends invited you for coffee and you were a bit late. So when you arrived at the cafe, your friends were already there. 5 friends already there. You were late. You were 5 minutes late. So you were late, you come. So because you were late, you don't know what they are talking about. So you sit first there silently and you first listen to each of them, right? You listen for a while. And when you have listened what each one is saying, then you express your view, right? Have you seen in conversation, you never say things first if you were late there, because you don't know the topic, you don't know the context, you don't know who is saying what. So when you listen who is saying what and you make an opinion, then you give your opinion. Synthesis is connecting the strands. Synthesis is linking the parts. Synthesis is understanding how different parts are connected. Synthesis is understanding the interrelationship of things. Synthesis is looking at the thing as a whole. Analysis is looking at the thing part by part. Synthesis is looking at something part by part. Whereas, analysis is looking at things part by part. And synthesis is bringing it together, putting it together, and coming up with a new idea. Okay, do you see? These are easier, right? Remembering, you wrote learn. Understanding also easier. But as you go down, at each step of learning, things become more and more complex. Now, next is evaluating. How do you evaluate something? There are many ways. One can be, when you judge something, you ask a question like, how useful it is for your purpose. How useful something is. How relevant something is. How appropriate something is. How valuable in terms of money something is. How significant something is. How much do you need something? When you evaluate, you not only look at what is good in it, you also look at what is not good in it. If you evaluate your English teacher, for example, you will not only say what you saw good in me this morning, you will also point out the weaknesses you see in me this morning. So evaluation is not only focusing on what is good in something, evaluation is also mentioning what is not so strong or good in something. When you evaluate, you decide how useful it is going to be for you, how relevant it is for you, right? How appropriate it is for you, and finally you apply. You are studying Bachelor in Business Information System, right? My son studied mechanical engineering, and his first job was quality assurance engineer in Surya, Nepal. And when I asked him how your learning at KU and your job relate, and he said that, Daddy, actually, when I got my job and I became a manager, I had 40 people working under me. And because I came from engineering section, not management, I had difficult time understanding human psychology. I had difficult time understanding human behavior. And I had to learn a lot of things to control people because I was the boss there, right? They won't obey me many times. So what I saw, my son probably could not apply, let's say, the management skills, or my son did not learn management skills and he had difficult time in his job. My point is, when you finish your degree and go to the market, you won't sit like this, you will be here, right? You will have to apply your learning. What does applying learning means? Applying learning means you are in a situation, right? In a job, let's say, you are a manager in a factory or anywhere. You're in a situation. You are given a table, chair. You have given a title. You have job. You have a job. Now, when you have a situation, the first thing you do is you observe the situation. The second thing you do is you ask yourself, is there a problem in my situation? The third, if you say, yes, there is a problem here, the next thing you do is, what may be the causes of the problem? Then you find the causes. Then you ask, what are the resources? What are the resources to solve this problem? Then you identify sources. Then you ask, where can I get these resources? Then you have resources. Then you say, how can I apply these resources and solve this problem? If you can apply these resources and solve the problem, your boss will be happy with you, right? But if you don't solve the problem and you displace your problem to the head of your boss, you will lose your job next year. So what is application? You have a situation, you observe surroundings. If there is a problem, you identify what's going wrong. A machine is not working, somebody is coming late. Then if there is a problem, you look for what is causing the problem. Once you know the cause, you look for solutions. What should I do to solve the problem? Then you look for resources. Where do I get the resources to solve the problem? Look at the resources, bring the resources, and use the resources and solve the problem. That's how things go in day-to-day life. That's application. And this is the most difficult thing. For example, I read a poem, Piano by D.S. Lawrence. Very simple, 5, 6, 10-line poem, Piano by D.S. Lawrence. In that poem, the speaker is going through a market somewhere, and at a distance, he overhears someone playing piano. He cannot see the person playing, but he can hear the music. And then, hearing the music of piano at a busy market, this 35-year-old gentleman remembers how his mother used to play piano when he was a 4-year child at home on Sunday while reciting Bible at home. And this music of piano makes him remember his mother and makes him remember his childhood days. And then he longs to go back home. He says, oh God, I'm 35, I want to be a baby again. I want to be with my mother again. I want to be in the arms of my mother again. I want my mother to smile at me again as she did when I was a child. He's in the market. And finally he says, but sorry, I cannot become child again. I cannot go back to my mom again. I'm 35, 40. Then he says, I feel crying like a child, he says. He says, now I want to cry like a child. Why? Because my days are gone. My past is gone. I long to see the past, but I cannot get my past. I read the poem. Then I conclude that, yes, it's a human reality that we all are nostalgic. We always long for our yesterday. We always love the days that are gone, right? We want to go back to our past. But you are 35, 40 years old, and you say that I want to cry like a child. This is not a wise thing. I disagree. And I say, no, I won't cry like D.S. Lawrence. As a wise gentleman, I should understand that I should bury my past and think about the future. I should bury my past and think about the future. The speaker in the poem is not mature, I say. The speaker in the poem is not mature because at age 40, He says, I want to be a child. And he says, I want to cry like a child. That's not a wise thing. So what I'm doing, I'm applying the poem to my life, and I'm saying that this speaker in the poem is immature, childish fellow, and I should not be like him. I should bury my past, and I should look for my future. So what is happening? See, why do you come to college? Why do you come to university? There is a slogan on the board outside. It says, some choices are life changing. Some choices are life changing. Education is successful if it changes your life positively. And each time you sit through a class with a teacher and you listen to him, you do certain things in class, that classroom experience should bring a positive change in you. If classroom experience day by day does not bring positive experience in you, you should quit college. You should quit college, because that way you will be wasting your money. If coming to this college, if staying through classes doesn't make you feel that I'm changing positively, my behavior is changing, my skills are improving. If you get an yes answer, you are getting educated. If your behavior is not changing, if your knowledge is not changing, if your experience is not changing, if your skills are not improving, you are not being educated, right? So education means applying what you learn in life. And finally, you create, maybe in future, you might develop a small theory about something. Maybe you are an information system, so you develop an app. You develop an app based on the learning you do in this course. Maybe you study computer science, maybe you study programming, maybe you study coding in this course, in BBIS course, and using that knowledge of coding and programming, in future you create applications, you sell them and make money. So what you are creating. And this creating is new knowledge. Oh, sorry. So what is education? Education is shift from old knowledge to new knowledge. So ask yourself, as a student of BBIS, am I progressing on the way to making new knowledge? If you say, no, I'm not on the way of progress, quit and do something else. If you feel, yes, each day, gradually, I'm changing, improving, you are on the way. So I began this class by saying that you need to learn skills at university. And throughout the last half an hour, almost 1 hour, I give you examples of what skills you need in English, and not only in English, you need these skills in other subjects also. Once again, let's revise. You have a given knowledge, you see, you listen, you smell, you taste, you touch, and you remember, right? Remember what you saw, remember what you heard, remember what you tasted, remember what you smelled, remember what you touched. Then you understand what is that phenomenon. You understand the phenomenon. If you don't understand a given phenomenon, you might end up saying, oh, that's a ghost, and you might run away. What happens? At night you're walking, and there is a door. Sorry, there's a rope on the way. And you say, there's a snake, and you shout, that's not a snake. The rope becomes snake because you don't have capacity to understand. The rope becomes snake because you don't have capacity to understand. The carcass, what do you call that? Scarecrow? Scarecrow. The scarecrow becomes a ghost because you can't understand. Then you understand. Then once you understand and you meet someone, you retell them what you understood. Then you become serious and you start analyzing deeply that phenomenon. After analyzing, you make an opinion about, you make your view. You make a view about it. You make your idea about the phenomenon. Then you evaluate that phenomenon. How good it is, how bad it is, how appropriate, how inappropriate, how useful, how useless, how valuable, how valueless. Then you apply that phenomenon in another situation. You go to driving center for learning driving, car driving or bike driving. Then you have a person guiding you all the time for 9, 10, 11, 12 days. Then finally you go to license examination, right? And they say, okay, here is a car, you ride it, you drive it, and you apply the knowledge, right? If you can apply successfully, you get the license. If you fail, you don't get the license. Application. And finally, you create new knowledge. That's one purpose of coming to college. Now take a pen and copy. You have a few minutes. Quickly in your paper. Quickly, non-stop. Non-stop. When I say start, you will start. Write whatever you remember about this class for 2 to 3 minutes. Time starts now. For 2 to 3 minutes, write non-stop what your English teacher said in class today. For 2 to 3 minutes, note down, write down, non-stop. Don't worry about correctness. Just try to remember as much as possible from what I taught you today. And write down. Okay, wait, you can continue at home. Roll number 1, Prajwana Adhikari, absent. You are there. So Prajwana, tomorrow, you take this syllabus and you will make a 5-minute presentation on the course description. You read carefully and you will explain the features or characteristics of this course, only this much. Okay. Then do we have Biraz Basola? So Biraz, in tomorrow's class, you will make a 5-minute presentation on these objectives. You can Bing, you can Google, understand these things, do some research this afternoon, and understand this thing, and in 5 to 10 minute time, we'll explain the class what is there. Then, do we have Aroha Bhattrai? You will spend time focusing on themes in this course. This is theme. Yeah, theme and chapters and time. Okay? And do we have Manila Buddhacharya? Manila. Let me just help her. I will mail you the soft copy of the syllabus, or you can photocopy this, or you can scan it from him. I have only 3 copies. Manila, what you will do, in tomorrow's class, you will tell the class this section, self-reading section, what is there. You will talk about evaluation criteria. You will explain to the class what is the criteria, this marks allocation how, what are the textbooks, what is the compilation. You will inform the class about this thing. You have 5 to 10 minutes. So tomorrow you have 4 people presenting on our syllabus, okay? And I will join you when you are presenting. I'll be there. And if I feel like something is missing, I'll supply it. Any questions? So you finish writing this at home, and the assignment is scan the page you noted down in class. You will mail the page that contains the summary of this class. You will mail the page that contains summary of this class, and you will mail it to and as you mail, you will name your file as your name, assignment 1, date. Your name, assignment 1, date. And finally, you will always mail a PDF file. Please do not mail JPG file, because when you scan, it's JPG first. You have to convert it into a PDF. Are you clear? Do not mail me JPG file, because when you scan, the content is JPG. You have to resave it as PDF. Okay? Thank you.